All right, and welcome to this virtual consult video, which is about the flow of the day as it pertains to wedding photography. I apologize in advance. Unlike the other videos in this virtual consult series that focuses what's on my computer screen, this one is just going to be me talking, so you're kind of stuck looking at my mug. So I apologize in advance. You might want to just turn away and listen to the audio. But whenever I have a couple here and we're talking about photography, we usually do two things. First, I talk about the flow of the day. Then I go over the actual packages. So we have a separate video that's about the packages. This video is about the flow of the day. I usually preface it to begin with by saying that what I'm about to go over is a general flow of the day. It's for the general outline of most weddings. But not all weddings fit this pattern. In those cases, we create different plans. What I'm going over is just your traditional wedding day, and then how we weave our photography planning through that. At the end, after we do that, I will, the one thing that is worth mentioning are situations when people want to do what we refer to as first looks. I'll go over that at the end and how that differentiates from maybe the normal flow of the day. So that's the one common exception, so I will cover that. So anyways, let me get started. So generally, wedding photography. Generally what we do is we start our photography, we begin the day with where the girls are getting ready. So whether that's at a home or a hotel, we begin the day with where the girls are getting ready. In the planning for a typical day, what we try to do is we like to break that down. So mentally, when me or Lori, our two photographers here at FineLine, when we arrive at the location where the girls are getting ready, for us, we're breaking that down mentally into 3 segments. So let me go over that, and then I'll explain the time that we like to have. So first segment is when we arrive, we like to focus on what we call the details and candids. So the details would be dress, shoes, jewelry, any keepsakes, any gifts, any special mementos, the something borrowed, the something blue, the things like that. Those would be the details. And then the candids would be, some last minute candids of the girls wrapping up hair and makeup and any moments going on, things like that. So that to us is segment 1. Segment 2 is transitioning to the bride getting dressed. So we like to then leave time for the bride to get dressed. Now, some brides think it only takes me a few minutes to actually get in the dress. But what we do is that, to us, that getting dressed period is not just getting in the dress, but we allow the bride to get in the dress, but we also want to, have some photos of, usually it's mom, if the bride still has her mother with her, helping her with the back of the dress, the veil going in, if there's garter involved, putting the garter on, the shoes, the jewelry, things like that. We try to also incorporate and involve the other girls that are there, the bridesmaids and things like that. So a lot of times I will incorporate my maid of honor, might help with the garter. I might have some of the other bridesmaids, or if there's a sister, helping with the shoes. I'll get a couple girls helping with the veil and things like that. And then the final segment, after the bride's dressed, and everybody should be dressed at this point, we'd like to do some portraits of the bride, just some formal pre-ceremony pictures, her with her girls, and then any family that's there, just a couple, some formal pre-ceremony family pictures. Now, as far as the time structure of that, so if we're going that route and we're sticking to that plan, we generally like to allot 30 minutes for each segment. So 30 minutes for candids and details, 30 minutes for that window of the bride to get dressed, which involves everything to be 100% ready, and then 30 minutes at the end for some portraits, formals with her and the girls, and some family pictures. Now, a couple things with that. Here at FineLine, we like to plan conservatively. Things don't always go on schedule. So we by doing that, we're padding in some extra time. If the bride starts getting dressed 10 minutes later, it takes a little bit longer. Each of those segments, we've allowed some extra time for what is usually pretty natural, things not going perfectly according to plan. Sometimes things go ahead of schedule, and we certainly love that, and we just get more photos. Now, what we do when we're planning with the bride, so whatever time we're planning that the bride is going to start getting dressed, so as we're entering what we would say is phase 2, bride getting dressed, as we're doing the planning for that day, that is the time where we say all of the girls and parents, everybody else is 100% done, 100% ready. Because if the bride's going to get dressed, if mom's going to help her, then mom's going to need to be dressed. And then if we're going to involve the other girls need to be dressed. Everybody that's going to be in a photograph wants to look their best. So, I always jokingly would say, if I'm going to incorporate the other bridesmaids to kind of be part of the photos while the bride's getting dressed, they don't want to still be there in their sweatpants or Spanx. They want to look their best as well. So we plan ahead and say, this is the time that the plan is for the bride to start getting dressed. So this is when all the other girls should be ready. So we aren't communicating with your hair and makeup, so we rely on you, but we stress this so much to our brides and grooms. Well, the grooms don't care, sorry. We stress this so much to our brides. You have to communicate properly with your hair and makeup people. The number one clear-cut factor of why things don't go according to the plan is when the hair and makeup just goes way past schedule. So we usually say, hey, the plan is at 2 o'clock, bride's getting dressed. You tell your hair and makeup people that everybody's got to be done by 2 at the latest. That's the end time. They should be done at 2. Everybody should be done. I don't want to get into the horror stories. That's another topic. But that's something that is very important to keeping things on schedule. So that's what we're doing at the house. From there, we generally like to leave the house and we like to arrive at the ceremony location. We, meaning the photographer, I like to arrive at the ceremony location an hour before the ceremony begins. So let's just say, the ceremony's at 3:30, just pick a time. If the ceremony's at 3:30 in this example now, I want to meet the guys at the church at 2:30. I want to meet up with the guys. I want to work with them for a little bit. I want to get some just formal pre-ceremony moments. I want to get a couple quick portraits of the groom by himself, him with each guy, the group together. If his parents are also there, we'll get some quick pre-ceremony formal pictures with his parents or some family members as well. This is not the production of the guys and the production of the girls is two completely different baskets of things going on. The production with the guys, this doesn't take nearly as long. So the reason we say 1 hour before the ceremony, I like to get them done. I can get the guys done in about 15 minutes, okay? So I get that done in about 15 minutes. That means we're still 45 minutes before the ceremony, which is a perfect time because a couple things. Number one, a lot of times my groomsmen are also going to be the ushers for the ceremony. So as guests begin to arrive, I want the guys to be done taking photos. So as early guests are arriving, the guys are ready to greet the guests and begin taking them to their seats. I also don't want I want to create a window that's not a small window. I want plenty of time for the bride to show up if she's going to arrive early, and I don't want to still be outside taking pictures with the guys and the bride and the limousine to show up and she can't get off because I'm still outside with the guys and we're rushing and things like that. I like to get the guys done, get them inside. In a traditional situation like a church, the groom and the best man are usually taken to the back of the church and put away. But that's a good thing so that when the girls are arriving, I don't have the groom out there. He's hidden away. The girls can safely get off the limo and enter the church and go where they need to go. Again, this is all kind of a standard thing. I'm not going to get into it in this segment, but if you're watching this right now, if you're thinking, I want a photographer with the guys, that's generally where an add-on of a second photographer. You can add on a second photographer if you need one with the girls while they're getting ready and one with the guys while the guys are getting dressed. The reality is up front, I always mention to our customers, about 5% each year of our couples at the end of the day actually specifically want a photographer with the guys while they're getting dressed during those moments. It really is just guys getting in there, standing around their boxes and things like that. If you want that, we can see if the plan of your day accommodates that. If not, then that's when we do a second photographer, so you have a second professional with the guys as well. So anyways, that's not the topic of the video, so moving on. So now we're, maybe 30 minutes before the ceremony. It allows me some time to get some setup shots at the church. Maybe if you have a program, a quick detail shot, things like that, as well as photos as your guests begin to arrive. Once we hit the point where it's 15 minutes before the ceremony, I want to be ready to shoot the ceremony 15 minutes before the ceremony begins. I want to be up front in the aisle, ready to go. I want to be set so if they start... This doesn't happen as much as it used to. It used to be a much more formal thing where, we still formally usually kind of seat the moms, like the seating of the moms. Some weddings, they still do that with the grandparents. It's not as common as it once was. A lot of times now, the grandparents just walk in and sit down. but I want to be there and ready in case so we like to be ready to go for seating the grandparents, seating the parents, and then of course the procession. The ceremony is going to play out the way that's determined between you, your preacher, your officiant, your church, wherever that's being held. It's going to play out how you guys plan that. After the ceremony, you say there's one of two things that can or cannot happen, and that's up to you, and it's also up to time, and we can talk about that. But these two things that you may or may not do. One is a receiving line, which everybody pretty much knows what a receiving line is. The other is what we call an exit shot. An exit shot is my terminology that I use, and I'm sure you've been part of it or seen it, but that's basically as the ceremony ends and people are coming out of a church. So your guests are coming out. Maybe you have a couple bridesmaids standing at the door with a basket of bubbles, and they're passing out some bubbles. And that would, in the old days, that was the rice throwing. You can't do that anymore because the fake rumor about birds exploding, but now it's bubbles. But anyways, so the guests would all gather outside, and then you would do kind of like a final reveal again of the bride and groom coming through the door. Everybody blows bubbles. It's a nice photo moment. We call that the exit shot. You may or may not be doing the receiving line. You may or may not be doing the exit shot. We kind of leave it up to you. If you're not sure, I'm happy to help put a timeline together to show you whether you even have time for that or not. Some churches don't allow receiving lines, so that just says you don't have to think about whether you're doing it because it's not an option at this church. So there's those instances. Sometimes people are like, I'm not sure if we have time. I can help you walk through that. So if you do book with us, these are things that I can go over with you and work out. After the ceremony, so whether you do the receiving line or exit shot, if you do the exit shot, we're going to go back inside or whatever. That's when we're going to do formal family photos, okay? The nice thing with FineLine is we are very efficient about this. We generally only have to block out a 20-minute block of time for doing the formal family photos. So this would be, again, a traditional church situation. We'll go back inside. If you didn't do the exit shot, we're already inside. Basically, your guests begin to leave, and we begin the formal family photos. We generally only need to block out about 20 minutes of time for that. We come prepared. So the way we handle this is I don't need you to create the list. And the worst photographers are the ones who are like, okay, it's time for family photos. So what do you want to do? Who do you want to shoot? No one's going to think of the right photos on the spot, and you're going to be there for an hour trying to figure it out, and you're going to do every combination. Not how we operate. Basically what we're going to do when you fill out your photography planning form, I don't want you to have to worry about figuring out the list. All you have to do, you just need to decide who you want to stay after the ceremony for photos. Generally, you start with your immediate family, which is parents, grandparents, and siblings. And if your siblings are married or have kids, then we usually have the spouses and children of your siblings stay. That's your starting point. That, a lot of the weddings are just that, and sometimes we'll get a few aunts and uncles and things like that. But if you're basically immediate family with parents, grandparents, siblings, and then spouses, kids of your siblings, we're going to get that done definitely within the 20 minutes, and then we block out the 20 for, if we're doing a few additional extended families. Regardless, how you're going to communicate that to us, you're just going to communicate in the planning form who's staying. And then before the wedding, I will go through that with you. I will get an understanding of who is who. I will put the list together on your behalf. I will do the pairings and the groupings because this is what I do for a living. And I want to do it. The reason I want to do it is because there's certain groupings that need, that if I don't advise to you, don't get done, and then you look back 20 years and we didn't do it right. And the other thing is, it's very important to me that in terms for it to flow well and also be convenient for the people who are staying, I want this to go in a particular order. I want to build the groupings. The biggest thing is grandparents. I don't want grandparents who don't walk well or even stand up very well and have to come up, for photo, sit back down, come back up, sit back down. I want to put this thing in order so once I bring my grandparents up, they just stay there and we keep building people around them, or depending on the situation, taking people away. And when I'm done with them, they're done. They can come down and they're done. They don't have to keep coming back up and down. That's why I like to put the list together. So I'll put the list together and then I'll type it up and I will email it to you before the wedding so that you have an opportunity to review it. At that point, you can look at it and email me back and say, Fred, it's good to go the way it is. We're happy with this. Or we're happy with this, but there's one photo we want to add, or we just want to take this one group and eliminate this person, or something like that. That way on the wedding day, me or Lori, we can just pull out that list. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, first up, first picture, I need bride, groom. Okay, next picture, bride's mom, come on up, bride's dad, whatever. Okay, and we're going to cruise along, and we want to get out of there and go take some fun photos. At that point, we're going to head to either your venue or a location along the way if we're stopping somewhere for photos. Briefly, what I do with that is what Laura and I do when we do the bridal party and the bride and groom photos. We generally start with the bridal party. First, we might do, here's kind of our normal routine. We'll get the girls. We want to make sure we have the bride with each girl. Now, sometimes we redo what we've already done at the beginning of the day. And these are also photos that if things have been rushed at the beginning of the day and we couldn't get it, we have another opportunity to do now. But even if I got it at the beginning of the day, sometimes I'm starting in a hotel room and it's maybe not the best lighting or the prettiest background. I might do at the beginning of the day still, if I had the time, the bride with each girl, just in case later, you never know what can come up. Just in case later there's some reason we don't have the opportunity to do it. Maybe the limo blows a tire on the way to the photo shoot, or maybe it starts raining and now we don't get to do those pictures. So even if we did it, I might still at the photo shoot do the girl, because now if it's in the ideal situation, it's outside, it's nice, let's do it, let's redo it, and it'll take a minute. Anyways, I like to get the bride with each girl individually. Then we'll do the bride with all her girls. We'll do formal and informal. So we want to make sure we get it one night, nice, pretty group photo of the bride with her ladies, showing off the flowers and the dresses, things like that. And then we, of course, want to do some fun ones and some informal. Then, as we transition to guys, so I have all the ladies together. I usually bring the groom over, so I kick the bride out, bring the groom in, and I like to get all the groom, nice, just fun picture of the groom with the ladies. Then I'll switch to the guys, groom with each guy, groom and all the guys formal, groom and all the guys informal. Then we'll get the whole group together. We'll do the whole bridal party, formal and informal. At that point, we're done with the bridal party. And I usually try to kick them out of the equation, get rid of them, send them back to the limo. And so usually at that point, I'm like, okay, bridal party, you're done. You can head back to the limo. They're excited to hear that. Usually there's beverages and snacks on the limo, so they're fine with being done, heading back to the limo and relaxing. The reason I'm doing this, I'm trying to get the bride and groom alone. At that point, now we want to do the bride and groom photos. Of course, we want to do some fun photos, but we do want to do some romantic pictures and things like that. And it's just easier if I can get the bridal party away from the equation, especially when it's a bigger group or everybody's bridal party is different. You know, some of you have those wild guys and wild girls and hooting and hollering and stuff like that. If I can keep my bride and groom separate at that point, it makes that go easier, and they're not distracted, basically. And then we usually wrap up. We want to get some just quick outdoor portraits of the groom, portraits of the bride, and then we want to get you to your reception. Now, the thing is, I never ever want to be the reason if your reception, for some reason, doesn't start on time. I never want it to be my fault. So I stick to the plan. I stick to the time. If you're supposed to get introduced at 6 o'clock, I basically tell my couples, worst case scenario, the latest I can have you arrive at your reception, if you're getting introduced at 6, you've got to be there at the latest by 5:45, because your DJ is going to need at least 15 minutes to round everybody up, go over the names, give you the instructions, and get ready to actually introduce you at 6. If you're getting introduced at 6, we can't show up at 6. You don't just walk off the limo and get announced. It doesn't work that way. So we have to have you there at least 15 minutes before that introductory time. So we're gonna stay on task and things like that. At that point, it's your reception. Whether you've hired us to be your DJ company or somebody else, the DJ, that individual is going to now be, he or she is the coordinator of your flow for the rest of the evening. As it pertains to photos, I just say to the couples at that point, eat, drink, dance, have fun, mingle with your guests, enjoy the reception. We will get the photos. We know what to get. You don't have to worry about that. On some occasions, towards the end of the evening, as we are wrapping things up photography-wise, and we kind of fill it out per couple. If we see an opportunity, sometimes we'll do what we call like an end-of-the-night shot with the bride or groom. We'll ask them if that's something that they'd like to do, some kind of just evening photo, and it depends on the situation. If a couple has us staying for something, like if they're doing fireworks at the end of the night or a sparkler exit, then that is the clear. I mean, that's the clear end of the evening shot if they're having to stay all the way to the end for that. And then if we're not there till the very end, people always say, what time do we wrap up? if we're not there till the very end for a specific thing like a sparkler exit or something like that, we keep shooting until we don't want to leave before events are over, and that's why we're going to make sure that we go over the timing of things before the wedding. We'll keep shooting till there's that natural part of the evening where it's getting late and there's really nothing left to be shot. At that point, literally the only thing it would for us to shoot is if we're on the dance floor and we're shooting the dance floor, but we've been shooting the same group of people already for like a half an hour. How many more photos of those same people dancing can we get that we haven't already gotten in the past half hour or whatever? But if we reach that natural point of the evening where we know we have everything we need, and again, we do this every weekend, we know what we need, and we know that there's nothing left really new that's going to be happening, we always check in with our client. So if it's the bride or groom, we check in with the bride and the groom to see if there's anything else that they need or anything like that. We never just split unannounced or anything like that. And we are never done until you say we're done. Okay. So anyways, that is what we call the flow of the day for photography. I hope that answers most questions, but I apologize. If you're not doing a first look or you're not interested, you can stop watching. But for those of you that stuck with this all the way to the end, very quickly I'll talk about the first look. If your day is going to be designed around a first look, first of all, a first look is creating a moment before the wedding where the bride and groom see each other for the first time. You don't need to insert a first look into your day. Usually a couple's doing a first look if it makes sense for their day, which is usually if you have like the ceremony and reception, like everything's at the same place. Then now it might be beneficial to do a first look because maybe after the ceremony, you want to do the family pictures, but then immediately go and either join your cocktail hour and mingle with your guests and things like that. So if you can get some of the things done before the wedding ceremony, you can. If you're doing the first look, again, we'll create that moment. You most likely know what it is if you're planning to do it. So let me just talk about the timing. In a nutshell, any pictures before the wedding when it involves a first look and then subsequent, like afterwards, like bride and groom photos, or if you're adding the bridal party pictures before the wedding as well, I want to have everything wrapped up 1 hour before the ceremony. So basically, if your ceremony, let's say, is at 4 o'clock, okay, in the afternoon at this location, we're going to plan so that we are wrapped up with photos at 4. So if the ceremony's at 4, I want to wrap up all this pre-shooting by 3. Because I don't want to still be shooting bride and groom photos and we have the guests beginning to arrive, like early arrivals. But another reason for the 1 hour is that if for any reason we're behind, if we're 15 minutes behind, it's no big deal. Okay, we're still shooting. Ceremony's not for 45 minutes and we're just wrapping up. Like, not a big deal. But if we're planning like, we'll just keep shooting up until half an hour before. Now things are running out of time. Like, we can't be shooting 5 minutes before the ceremony begins. So anyways, we plan based on ending that whole thing 1 hour before the ceremony. And then it would become the choice of the bride and groom. Are we doing a first look and then just bride and groom photos? Or are we doing the first look, bride and groom photos, and getting the bridal party pictures out of the way as well? So depending on which option you're going with is how much time we'll allot for the shooting. And that'll determine when we start the first look. And then all of the getting ready stuff will build up before that. So if you're interested in the first look, you're working with us, we can iron out like the exact specifics, but that's kind of the nuts and bolts of how I work on the timing of that with my brides and grooms. So thanks for sticking around to the end, and that is the flow of the wedding day for FineLine Photography.